Hi all, Mark here again. Getting ready to work on my next project regarding the truck behind me. Today's project's going to be the Arctic blanket covering that goes on the front of the truck. Now I've already gotten a couple other things for this truck. As far as I know, I'm just about getting everything that's necessary for being in Arctic conditions. I live in the Sierra Nevada mountains in California, and it gets pretty cold up here and it snows and stuff. And even though maybe it's not Arctic, it does get pretty cold up here. So I thought that we might as well go ahead and go with the whole idea of having an Arctic kit. Now, obviously, I'm pre-fitting right now the blanket that's behind me, or the covering. But inside, I've already gone ahead and I put in the shifter boot and the transfer case shift lever boot for the Arctic part inside the cab. There is one other piece that is super rare and probably not going to be able to find one, but I was fortunate enough to know a gentleman who actually had one, and it's the cargo area heater. It's the troop heater basically for the back of the truck, and really neat piece of equipment. It was new, wasn't even used. Everything's still in a box still, I haven't put it together yet, but it's supposed to go ahead and keep the guys in the back nice and toasty. It gets mounted toward the front of the cab, or toward the back of the cab actually, toward the front of the cargo bed on the floor, and then it taps into the existing 50-gallon fuel tank, and it runs off diesel fuel. I'm not putting that in quite yet, but that'll be in hopefully before winter's out. I'd like to go ahead and get the bows and the tarp covering before I actually put that in the back to keep it out of the weather. That's the only reason why I'm not doing it quite yet. So anyway, this is just the trial fitting of it, and I'll go ahead and show you kind of how it looks so far without any kind of mounting. Now, I'm not going to use the stock way of mounting this. I decided I wanted to do something a little bit I don't know, a little bit easier and something that maybe that would blend in a little bit better when the tarp isn't on the truck. And I'll show you what I'm going to do for that in just a second. So anyways, like I said, this is the trial fitting of it. It looks pretty good so far. One of the things that I'm surprised that wasn't actually done by the factory on this was when it comes to the air cleaner. What I had to have done is right here, I had to have funny enough, an awning company, because they had the heavy duty sewing machines and stitching machines to go ahead and do this. Cut a little bit bigger than a 4-inch hole, that's about 4 inches, and then I had them stitch up this material around it, and they did a really nice job. It almost looks stock, but that's not the way this canvas kit comes. It's just flat, and even if this isn't here, it still covers up the air inlet. So I'm not sure what they were thinking as far as putting this kit on and then trying to drive the truck around with the actual air inlet covered by this. Can't tell you what was going on with that, but anyway, so I measured, I trial fitted this on, I measured where that hole was going to be, and then I had them cut it. Since I'm doing a fording kit on this as well, there's another thing that needs to come through the side here, and it's on the other side, is that little hole right there. So I had to make a second hole and stitch it all up, and that's going to be for the crankcase breather tube that comes from inside the engine bay and comes out, and then it's going to mount on a stanchion right next to the exhaust, and then that breather tube is going to run all the way to the top of the exhaust stack, right into where the mushroom cap is, and that will go ahead and keep water from getting into the crankcase, because the crankcase breather tube is below the air cleaner. So that tube coming up and out and up high keeps obviously water from getting in there, so you can ford nice and deep stuff. So that's why that's there, in case I needed to go through Russian wilderness where it's 6 feet of water and I need to keep this thing on. That tube can come right through there without any kind of problem. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to put a little splitter right here, and then I'm going to have it hose clamped on the inside of the engine, on the outside here. That way, when I'm ready to go ahead and take this apart. I don't have to disassemble the breather tube that goes up. I can just undo it from here, take it off, and then reconnect it with a little tube, or I'm not sure what they're called, some kind of interface between the tube on the inside and the outside. It'll be probably a brass fitting of some kind, and then hose clamp it, and then that way I don't have to mess with it. I can just take it apart right here and I'm all done. What I also did, of course, was the inside with the shifter boot, part of the Arctic weather winterization is what they call that. And then underneath here, of course, underneath the seat, you can see the transfer case boot as well. Now what they didn't do, and again I don't know why, and I'll have to have this made as well, is for if you have a winch and you're controlling the power takeoff part of it, they don't have a boot to cover the hole for the PTO lever. So I'm going to have that made, and then that will cover the hole. So I have all three of those nice and covered up there. So that's it. And then since I'm over here already, the Arctic heater actually gets mounted right about where the edge of that tire is. That's my spare, and so I'll probably have to end up moving that, but it mounts right near the back here of the cab, front of the cargo box, flat on the floor, and then you drill holes in the bottom of the cargo box, and then that's how you feed the fuel line and electrical line to make the, connect up the blower and all that through it. So anyway, that's where that's going to go, but not quite yet. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and start to get ready to mark this, and I'll end up showing you kind of how I'm going to end up mounting it to the front here, and I'm hoping that this solves my issues of making it nice and easy to put on and put off as needed. So that's it.